Hi, how's it going? In this ongoing process of mixing AI tools with motion design, I came across an idea I thought was interesting. How can we use a character, either in 3D or 2D, but in a way where we have full control over it? Because in the end, that's what it's all about, full creative control. So I decided to work with a 3D character. And that's when my friend Julian comes in. He's a Blender pro, super skilled at sculpting in 3D, and he kindly let me use one of his rig characters. Now, for this test, I didn't use the rig it came with. Instead, I separated the mesh from the skeleton and kept only the geometry. With that clean mesh, the next step was to upload it to Mixamo, which is a pretty handy auto rigger. I started exploring which animations could work for the kind of video I had in mind. Since this was all exploration, I also tried another tool that really impressed me. It allows for more detailed rigging. It's not automatic for every kind of character, but it works great with humanoid forms. It even has options for non-human and cartoon-style characters. And the cool thing is, you can rotate limbs, select specific parts, and build poses manually. Super useful if you want something expressive or outside the norm. So once I had my character rigged, I added a dance animation to fit the vibe of the project. After that, I moved on to Meishi, where I added a texture. In this case, I used a frog texture. Yeah, the character was naked, but we soon realized that might get flagged on some platforms, so we created a new version with a white alien-style outfit, which also gave it a much cooler look. Once the character was refined, I generated a few sample images and began building my dataset. I created conceptual images using ChatGPT, then cleaned them up in Photoshop, adjusting colors and making sure things like the number of fingers stayed consistent across all frames. After that, I trained a custom model in Flux and ran a quick QA on several Lauras to pick the one that best fit our character. The goal was to maintain consistency frame by frame, which is super important for animation. With the trained model ready, it was time to move into 3D. One of the first things I did was create a 360 environment image to bring into Blender. That served as the backdrop for the entire scene. Next, I placed a floor with the right texture and started playing with camera depth of field to give it a cinematic look. Then I went to ChatGPT to generate various assets on a white background, all based on the video's concept. Once those were ready, I imported them into Meishi using the Image to 3D feature to create physical models. I picked the best ones, added 3D textures, and even though some looked a bit lighter when rendered, the overall quality was great, and that's exactly what I was aiming for. Not a perfect 3D model, but a solid starting point that I could polish later. With everything in place, I started building the full scene in Blender, placing objects strategically so that no matter what camera angle I used, the space would feel rich and dynamic. Next, I created a first frame and end frame using a camera move I liked. I ran those frames through Magnific to add extra detail and upscale the render for better visual quality. Now, since this process can sometimes slightly alter the character, I used my Flux train model to bring back the original look and maintain consistency. That helped humanize the scenes again and made the animation smoother. Then I jumped into Kling, where I used those same first and last frames to generate camera movements, tilts, pans, even orbital shots, which worked really well. Personally, I think using first and end frames is one of the best methods. I also tried others, like Comfy UI and Runway, using reference frames and video-to-video workflows, but the character changed too much, and keeping visual consistency was really hard. So at least for now, this is the method I'm sticking with, and it's the one I use for this video. Once that was done, I opened Audio, dropped in the clips, there weren't that many at this point, and created some custom sound effects for each moment. They turned out great and really elevated the video. For music, I used Riffusion to generate a sci-fi instrumental track, aligned with the whole concept, technical, energetic, and futuristic. And finally, I animated the logo, the same one I created in Ideogram using a simple prompt in ChatGPT. To wrap it all up, I even added a Ubisoft logo just as a playful nod to the kind of project this is, a dance video game with a futuristic alien vibe. So this is what the final video looks like. I hope you enjoyed it. And just a quick note, this whole project is part of an exploration process. If you notice any imperfections or areas for improvement, that's completely fine, because the main goal here was to test how different tools can be combined into one creative pipeline. Everyone will take something different from it, and that's the beauty of experimentation. I'm just sharing my way of putting it all together. I'll keep exploring to see what other ways we can connect AI with motion and video, because honestly, this is just the beginning.